Volunteers from Ecuador vow to spread Tzu Chi's principles and love in their country after attending a Tzu Chi camp in Taiwan. Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital uses 3D imaging technology to help reconstruct a man's broken face bones. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Siri Su. Thank you for joining us. We begin today's program in South Africa. There are not many Tzu Chi volunteers in the vast land of South Africa, but the volunteers in Ladysmith are not discouraged by the distance they have to travel for home visitations. Despite all the challenges they face, the volunteers still reach out to the people in need.
In the winter rain, Tzu Chi volunteers walk in the mud while singing in South Africa to do home visitations.
Stay alone.
He stay alone?
Yes.
And who look after him?
Me.
Only you?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Just check. Malume, you are wake up today.
Manana, a local volunteer, is the only support for people who have mental diseases.
The rice is from Tzu Chi. The rice of love from Taiwan is helping anyone who need it around the world.
Ivy is another care recipient. She suffers from stroke and she needs constant massages. The volunteers teach her daughter while her mother needs therapies.
This one.
Hand, not working. Not work properly.
Yes.
She was laughing minutes ago, but suddenly she is weeping.
Oh, remember those?
She remembers of you having come to her home, brought her rice, and given her warmth.
Despite suffering from poverty, the residents have felt the love and care of the volunteers.
In recent years, many disasters have taken place in South America's Ecuador. Tzu Chi volunteers have been providing relief assistance for the flood and earthquake survivors. This led Tzu Chi and local residents to develop a good relationship. To learn from Tzu Chi's spirit and experiences, local volunteers in Ecuador traveled to Taiwan to attend a Tzu Chi camp, hoping to bring Tzu Chi's ideals back to their country.
In April 2016, a magnitude 7.8 earthquake struck Ecuador, causing many deaths and injuries. And in April of this year, Ecuador was ravaged by floods. Tzu Chi volunteers have assisted the disaster survivors many times, which allows them to develop a friendship with Ecuadorians. Boris Garcia, who originally served in Afghanistan as part of the Special Forces, has assisted in disaster relief coordination. He has made a vow on his trip to attend a Tzu Chi camp in Taiwan.
It was the opportunity to help my own people. Many people in Ecuador, in our area, know Tzu Chi. What I'm going to do back home is I'm going to transmit that message.
Tzu Chi has helped Ecuador build a church to comfort disaster victims. Another Ecuadorian volunteer, Jennifer Ruiz, hopes to follow Master Zhen Yan and do what she can to help the needy.
We hold the suffering in the world, and I definitely want to help Ecuador and every corner of the world that needs help. And therefore I ask to be your disciple. I want to follow you this lifetime and next lifetime, so please give me your blessing.
去年就发现到你这一颗种子，期待呢，我们的这种宗旨生命的宗旨方向是没有门户之见，要把佛陀慈悲的心放在自己的心里，在当地去发挥爱的能量。
After learning more about Tzu Chi's global mission, these seeds of bodhisattvas will continue to grow and sprout after they return to their own country.
In the Philippines, a glaucoma patient works as a tricycle driver to support his family. With his meager income, medical expenses is a big burden. Sometimes he even gives up taking the medication, causing his vision to worsen. After Tzu Chi volunteers visited him, they took him to a Tzu Chi free clinic to help him regain his vision.
This is Bunko, who suffered blurred vision and works as a tricycle driver.
I installed an extra rear-view mirror on my tricycle. This helps me see everything more clearly. I will pay more attention to the cars from the left.
When we take his tricycle, he usually drives carefully. He relies heavily on the 4 mirrors. His tricycle is quite different from the normal one, which has only 2 mirrors on the handles.
Living in a remote region, Bunko's wife and children rely on him to pick them up. Since Bunko is the breadwinner of the family, the expense for glaucoma medication is a big burden for him.
Sometimes I cannot afford to pay for medication. That's why I have to borrow money from my relatives or friends.
To reduce his financial burden and solve his health problem, Bunko takes the opportunity to attend the free clinic held by Tzu Chi, even though he has to spend at least 3 hours traveling from his home to the sites of the clinic. With the love and warmth from Tzu Chi, his world will not fall into darkness.
In Malaysia, Tzu Chi Kuala Lumpur and Selangor chapter has been providing medical assistance for refugees, benefiting about 100,000 people. Since June of last year, the Tzu Chi Free Clinic in Kuala Lumpur has been offering gynecological services to pregnant refugee women so that they can be taken care of. However, the doctors and patients usually had difficulty communicating with each other. Fortunately, a doctor who is originally from Myanmar has joined this medical team to overcome the language barrier. Here's more.
The Kuala Lumpur Tzu Chi Free Clinic has been providing gynecological services for nearly a year to take care of the refugee pregnant women.
The fees for this patient have increased markedly. So even though they get 50% off, they still have to pay a lot, and they do not come for antenatal follow-up, and they do not come to deliver in hospital. And a lot of them actually have a lot of complications. That's the reason we think we need to start a clinic.
Dick's daughter is originally from Myanmar, and she has been living in Malaysia for 11 years. She offers free medical services for refugees and has no difficulty communicating with Burmese refugees.
The local Malaysian doctors are helping my people. Then in my mind, I think now why I shouldn't go and help. I have more responsibility and duty to take care of my people. I'm very impressed and very thankful to Tzu Chi for helping all the refugees, not only from Myanmar, but also from all other countries.
She is also a lecturer of a medical college who always invites her students to serve others.
When patients have a headache, we should not only give them painkillers, but we should also deal with their problems. I always remind myself not only to treat the patient's diseases, but I should also solve their physical and mental problems.
We have learned to understand the patient's backgrounds before we provide them with medical treatment. We also need to know about their personality, such as their temperament.
With the love and compassion of these doctors and medical students, now these refugees finally have someone to rely on and can move forward in their life.
The government's Long-Term Care Act 2.0 promises more cooperation between central and local governments. It also hopes the program will allow more people to find and get the care for elders. Type C level care stations are expected to be set up in 1 out of every 3 villages. At the moment, Taiwan has more than 2,500 locations designated for such care stations. But by April, only 86 such stations had been established. This indicates the government is far from achieving its objective. Follow our report as we learn more about these stations.
This courtyard-style house is hosting a children's type game of hopscotch involving elders. The Shiko villager Wang Kuncheng initiated a fundraising drive which achieved $300,000 to repair his 1,200 square meter house, also establishing the Chilin Foot Foundation. It's not only a community care center but also a place which delivers hot meals. On December 2016, the facility was upgraded to a Type C lane alley care station and providing services for elderly with dementia and disabilities, lessening the burden on family caregivers.
The Long-Term Care Act 2.0 from 2016 has improved the space, making a barrier-free space with the addition of some equipment.
Basically, Type C care centers need to have some handrails to become barrier-free space, along with some anti-skid flooring. A number of relevant venues need some renovations to meet these conditions.
In addition to upgrading hardware, there's also a need to upgrade the software. Liu Qizhi is one of the caregivers at this care center. She began as a community volunteer, but at the end of last year, support from the Chilean Foot Foundation led her to complete caregiver training. Because she knows this area, she has a very good understanding of local elders and has confidence in her work.
We will help elders do some activities to slow the aging process. We may do some sports with them, but we're basically different from other hospitals and agencies. But I don't think it's a problem.
According to the latest statistics, DaAi County's proportion of the elderly in the population is 17.84%, which is the highest in the country. Based upon geographical considerations, the area plans to create 1 Type A facility, 4 Type B, and 6 Type C care stations. Including health services and elder care, this is a total of 11 such units. Municipal governments need to develop a thorough plan to implement such a system.
The problem which we face may include needing volunteers to help us stabilize the situation, as we need to make some progress in overcoming our difficult finances. The county government struggles with finances, as we need to work with the central government's social welfare fund.
Type C level care stations offer 5 days of care, providing a temporary care and health services as well as course to delay the effects of aging. Many also provide meals and services similar to convenience stores. The Ministry of Health and Welfare expects to establish 1 such station every 3 villages. Across Taiwan, some 2,529 such care centers are expected to be established. Members of Tainan Sanhua Ximei drum team have an average age of 65, with the total age of the team being more than 1,000. When they are drumming, they seem to forget about their age. Playing the drum helps encourage elders in this community to get out of the house. The movement helps strengthen their muscles and bones, and they also interact with others in the community. Under the previous 1.0 Act, this was a community center, but now it is applying to become a Type C care station.
We have done all of our preparation, and we have about 30 volunteers who are doing daycare type services. If we want to increase our services, there shouldn't be any problem at all.
These community
care stations are the most numerous, and they're also the fastest to expand their functions, as we seek local resources to expand more Type C locations, as the more the better.
广布C点要越绵密越好。
However, each community has certain conditions which may prevent Type C care stations from sprouting up everywhere. At the moment, there are only 86 such care stations, which is less than 10%. Originally, funding was $300 a month, though it quickly grew to more than $3,000. And as they receive more resources, they should rapidly upgrade. Otherwise, deployment of this long-term care network won't receive the support it needs.
In Taiwan, a 45-year-old carpenter accidentally fell from the 3rd floor while he was working. Many of the bones in his face were broken, and he was later sent to Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital emergency room. The medical team used 3D images to help restore this man's face through reconstructive surgery. Here's our report.
Fall led to an injury which fractured many bones, splitting his forehead and jaw. Doctors used 3D imaging technology to assist surgery for this patient.
This 3D computer image helped us rebuild his skull. To help minimize his wounds, we lifted his skull and helped fix the fractures.
A physician spent 8 hours in surgery, putting into place 23 plates and 118 pins to rebuild his face.
Because of his serious injury, almost everything here in the front, aside from this side, had a few defects. But I think the overall look now is almost like a normal face.
The doctor is really incredible, and even my hair is growing back.
After more than 2 months of recovery period, Mr. Zheng is recovering very well and his wounds have nearly all recovered. His facial nerves are not damaged, with only a small scar on his mouth that will require follow-up denture reconstruction, as his facial function can now be fully recovered.
In Taiwan, a 22-year-old woman experienced nausea, vomiting, and physical weakness. After she went to 2 hospitals, no doctor could figure out the cause of her illness. Then she went to Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital, where the team from the Department of Rheumatology found out she has Sussex syndrome. Here's more on this rare disease.
I had headaches and felt dizzy. I also vomited and could not walk. I was very weak.
Besides experiencing nausea and vomiting, Miss Lan found there were purple spots on her nails. Then she had blurry vision and joint pain. From hospital in Luodong of Yilan to medical center in Taipei, no doctor could figure out the cause of her illness.
I was really anxious back then. I almost cried. Although the checkup statistics looked normal, she had all these problems.
The anxious mother brought Miss Lan to Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital to seek treatment from Dr. Chen Zhenghong, director of Department of Rheumatology. Dr. Chen and his medical team check all the medical researchers in Taiwan and abroad and Miss Lan's medical report. Finally, after fluorescent photography of Miss Lan's eyes, Dr. Chen found she has Sussex syndrome.
Through fluorescence photography of her eyes, we found her retinal arteries were inflamed. There was retinal artery occlusions. After the checkup, we found she has Sussex syndrome.
Sussex syndrome is a very rare disease, and there are only 304 such medical cases in the world. Most patients are women between the ages 20 to 40. After taking immunosuppressive agents, Miss Lan's skin and nail conditions have improved. However, she still faces a long journey of medical treatment.
In Taiwan, the amount of imported red beans have increased tremendously this year, which led to slow sales of locally produced red beans. To help local farmers, Pingdong's Wandan Farmer Association has produced a film urging the public to support local farmers. In the meantime, farmers have hired some inmates, solving their labor shortage problem and giving inmates work opportunities.
With an important agenda in mind, Wandan Farmers Association is speaking out on behalf of red bean farmers.
In the past, imports were limited to 2,000 to 3,000 tons. However, this year, from January till May, 4,440 tons have been imported.
According to Wandan Farmer Association, in Taiwan, 6,200 hectares of land have been planted, producing more than 9,000 tons of red beans. The total market demand is 12,000 tons. This year, the amount of imported red beans have increased tremendously, which worry local farmers.
People still plant it, but with poor prices, farmers will lose money.
Besides facing slow red bean sales, local farmers also face a labor shortage. This has led inmates to help out.
Currently, 5 inmates from Pingdong Prison are working at Wandan Farmers Association, picking red beans after harvest. They work very diligently and are doing quite a good job.
Working for the Farmer Association, inmates get to make contact with the society before leaving the prison. Therefore, most inmates are happy to do this.
I think it will help me adjust to life after imprisonment. What is important is to adjust our mindset. We get to work and help farmers, enriching our work experience.
By giving work opportunity to inmates, the farmers solve their labor shortage, creating a win-win situation for everyone.
Also in Taiwan, extremely heavy rain in Nantou Zhongliao's Guangfu village threatened 2 homes. The heavy rain softened the soil, causing it to pour down the hillside. To ensure everyone's safety, Tzu Chi volunteers visited and cared for the residents when the weather cleared.
Softened soil and stone poured down the hillside, collapsing the back door of many homes. Metal walls have been twisted due to the strong force, and even staircases were affected.
It was nearly noon when the situation got serious. It was better to leave in the morning as the mudslide made huge noise and it kept pouring down.
Afterwards, Xie's family temporarily lived in an office across from their house.
Mr. Xie has 8 members in his family, but there's only him and his wife that live here. Their son is constantly absent. Therefore, they have to take care of their grandchildren. The young ones are still in elementary school.
The family is economically unstable. At the start, Mrs. Xie ran back home in order to cook, but she worried about another wave of mudslides. Therefore, she brought out the stoves.
We cook like thieves. As soon as we prepare all the ingredients, we cook quickly. And when we heard noises outside, we were forced to escape.
The family, unable to resolve the situation, asked for Tzu Chi's assistance, and the volunteers came with supplies and consolation cash.
The importance is your presence and safety here. It brings hope to us. We can discuss the rest later. Take it slow. There is hope. Therefore, I wish you peace and safety.
It wasn't only Mr. Xie's house that got affected. His neighbor also was troubled by the mudslides. Taking the supplies and declining the monetary support, Mr. Xiao hopes to spread Tzu Chi's love to more people in need.
Many thought that the heavy rain in June would have revived the Longyan cold spring in Kaohsiung's Taishan. However, the spring continues to remain dry, defying people's expectations. Local environmental groups blame the condition on too much cement and urbanization. In addition, many people are calling for more protection for the local groundwater layer. Here's our report.
Last September, after a typhoon, Taishan's Longyan cold spring became a playground for many, though it didn't take long for the spring water to run dry.
Kaohsiung has experienced several days of heavy rain, but Taishan's famous Longyan cold spring still doesn't have a drop of water.
I was so surprised that with so much rain, there should be a lot of water here.
It used to have water, but now we see that there isn't any water at all.
This family who came here aren't the only ones who are disappointed, as Taishan environmental groups have an explanation.
The whole water pool there, as well as the general environment, is covered in cement.
Taishan in recent years has seen many development projects leading to lots of cement, with even the Longyan cold spring being a channel covered in cement. Environmental groups over the past 3 years have found that Taishan's east side has a large area of groundwater, though construction has led this historical cold spring to pass into history.
The Longyan cold spring should definitely have water when rainfall accumulation reaches 1,000 millimeters.
With so much rain, many are wondering still why this historical cold spring has run dry. Local environmental groups take this as a sign that we need to have more respect for the earth.
In response to Taiwan's Long-Term Care Act 2.0, Tzu Chi volunteers have worked hard to set up care stations for seniors. At the end of our program, we'll take you to a newly established care station in Gaodong Community in Taichung, where seniors network with other friends and benefit from community programs. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.